Keep the negative shit over there, baby. If you vibing, put your L's in the air, baby. If you vibing, put your L's in the air, baby. Can't fool myself, don't wanna ever smoke nothing but OG.
Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC Wichita, Junior Dos Santos versus Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. And Shaq, it's going down this Saturday, the first time the UFC comes to Wichita, Kansas, and they got a heavyweight headliner in the main event.
Yeah, JDS is on another run. He's been looking good his last two fights, and we know Black Beast is the comeback king at heavyweight. Should be a good fight, and somebody should get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I know it's easy to sit here and break down any Black Beast fight and say, oh, he's going to lose the entire fight until he knocks Junior Dos Santos out. But the thing is, we've seen Black Beast do that over and over. He did it to Volkov. He's done it on his run on the come-up. Now, against Junior Cigano, the former world champion, you think he's going to repeat history here?
Possibly, man. He's coming off that title fight against DC, and we saw what he did against Volkov. This guy's never out of a fight, but he's got a tough task on his hands. JDS, former world champion, some of the best wins at heavyweight. And JDS, we know he can go 5 rounds as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, we're going to do this whole card start to finish, but before we do, there's only one thing I want to talk about last week. How satisfying was it seeing Diego Sanchez whoop on Mickey Gall?
That was pretty satisfying. Mickey should be getting his walking papers here soon.
Yeah, he definitely should. It was a fun card last week. The GOAT, John Jones, put everyone to sleep. This time it wasn't Snoozman who made everyone fall asleep. This time it was the GOAT, Jones. But, the whole controversy was, should Anthony Lionheart-Smith have taken the DQ? And I know I was talking a little shit online, but at the end of the day, I got a lot of respect for him for being a real man and saying that, listen, man, even though they could have changed my life, they could have given me that 7-figure paycheck, the pay-per-view points, the belt, the rematch with Jones, the whole bit, he could have secured his family's future. Listen, as a fighter, I'm not the fighter, he is. As a fighter, I feel like, man, that's super honorable. But as a businessman, I'm thinking, I really hope that his career on television and his future fight purses, I hope they add up because he lost out on a big paycheck, Shaq.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you can't please fans. I mean, these fans don't know what the fuck they want, man. So, anyone talking on that situation, look, you ain't Anthony and you ain't Anthony's kids or his wife or his family. So, you should really shut the fuck up. So, Anthony chose not to do it. He's going to move on and fight someone else, and Johnny keeps his belt. But to say Anthony's stupid for not taking it, or because then if he would have taken it, y'all would have been like, he's not the champ. So he was damned if he didn't. He was damned if he did. Yeah, no, it's so true, and it's funny because someone was like, well, if he did take it, you'd be here saying that John never really lost, and it's like, yeah, you're right, I would have been saying that, but Anthony would have been laughing all the way to the bank, so who cares what some fans think, but hey, Anthony made his choice, and I respect it, and I think he's got a very bright future. Shaq, let's break down this whole Kansas card start to finish, my man, because first up in the lightweight division, we got Alex the Spartan White, he's minus 145, and Dan Moret is plus 125. Now, I know we went big on Alex White to defeat Mitch Clark. That came through. But obviously he wasn't able to win as an underdog against James Krause. And then he got blown out the water against Jim Miller. So it's kind of tough to read these Alex White fights. You think he gets back on track here against Moret? Yeah, it seemed like he was moving on up. And then his next two fights, it seems like a big step down. So Alex White is one of these guys where, yeah, he's got a good body. He's strong. He's big. He's 6 foot. At 155, big power. His wrestling defense is not good at all. His jiu-jitsu is terrible. His chin is suspect as well. But his opponent, Dan Moret, also has a very suspect chin. He's been knocked out stiff by Ione and Gilbert Burns. And this guy's also a former 45er, so he is a small 55er. He's been training at the lab. I do expect to see a better version. And prior to him getting KO'd stiff by Gilbert Burns, it was a pretty entertaining fight. So I do think Moret's a tough guy. So I'm going to go with the upset here at plus 125 Moret. I know he's a little chinny, but Alex White's also chinny, and Alex White's just not very smart. He makes consistent bad decisions. His wrestling's terrible, but I heard he got to stay out a month in Cali for this fight and trained with Schilling and the same team Mickey Gall did. So we'll see if a real fighter, sees the improvements from that training. So, but I'm gonna go with Moret in the upside. I just can't pick Alex White.
Yeah, no, I feel you, and I forgot to mention the records at the beginning of the breakdown. Alex White's 12-5, Dan Moret's 13-4. Basically, with Alex White, the things I do like about him is that he hits hard as fuck, man. You stand and bang with a guy like Alex White, yeah, his chin ain't the best, but he hits you, and chances are you are going to feel it. And also,
Dan Moret didn't just get knocked out his last fight. He got stiffened. It was a brutal, vicious KO. I don't know if you guys ever saw a knockout between Matt Hamill and Mark Munoz. And look, this wasn't a head kick like that, but the way that Moret went down, the way he landed with his knee buckled behind, oh man, it was awful to watch. It was a vicious, terrible KO. And that has to mess with your confidence, not only your chin, your confidence. And I just feel like in this spot, yeah, Dan Moret's training at a better camp, no doubt about it, because we know Alex White's training situation is a joke. But Alex White actually flew out to California for about a month here. His management wanted to make sure that he was on point. He's got black belts rolling with him privately every day. So obviously I wouldn't back Alex White at chalk, but I actually do think he gets back on track here. And I think he knocks out Dan Moret as well. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got Alex Morono, he's 15-5, and Zach Ottow is 17-6. Currently, they got Alex Morono, he's minus 165. The comeback on Zach Ottow is plus 145. Now, Shaq, this is an alleged grudge match. Apparently, these two don't like each other. So I gotta know, man, you going with the game planning savvy of Zach Ottow, or are you going with the mindless brawling of Alex Morono?
Yeah, I thought Morono looked real good his last fight against Keenan Song. He touched Keenan Song up badly. He kept his composure for the 3 rounds. Definitely his best performance in the UFC. Zach Ottow came off that Dwight Grant fight in which, Grant clearly won the first round and then he stopped throwing. He's a counter striker. And Ottow's a very, calm point fighter. I think he only has maybe like 1 or 2 knockouts on his record, so he's definitely more of a game planner tactician than a finisher, even though his nickname's the Barbaric. So, I think how this fight plays out, if Ottow plays it smart and utilizes his wrestling, I think he might even be a brown belt or a black belt, I'm not sure, but if he utilizes his wrestling, Morono has a big weakness in his game, man. He struggles to get back up from bottom, even though he's a black belt. But I see Morono improving that aspect in this game. He's been training at Fortis with Safe Saud, and he's actually been spending a lot of time with Jeff Neal, just them two. So I think we're going to see a lot of improvements from Morono off the last fight. I actually think he gets a stoppage as Ottow. I think Otto's going to start off well with the wrestling, but I think at some point when they get back up, Morono's going to clip him around the ears, and Ottow will most likely fall.
I mean, I can see that, of course, because Zach Ottow, one thing about him, he's not known for being the toughest guy. He's also not known for having the best chin. And also, word around the street on the Milwaukee area for like the last 10 years is that...
everyone knows Ottow.
Let's just put it this way. Zach Ottow doesn't have a reputation for being the toughest guy in that Milwaukee scene. I'll just leave it at that. But as far as him and Morono, I think Morono swings harder. I think Morono might have the higher ceiling, but I think that Zach Ottow might be the smarter guy. And if he game plans properly here, he can exploit that one area of Morono's game that needs massive work, and that's his takedown defense. I mean, the way Jordan Mein was taking him down, there's no shame in losing to a guy as experienced as Mein. It's just the way he lost. It was very embarrassing, and it was just a very unspirited effort. So, all that being said, I think Zach Ottow comes out here with the proper game plan, takes down Morono, and squeaks out this decision. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got Louis the Last Samurai Smolka. He's minus 120, and Matt Schnell is plus 100. Louis Smolka's 15-5, Matt Schnell's 12-4. Shaq, this fight's actually at bantamweight, not at flyweight. I thought it was at flyweight. So, these two moved up. The UFC's letting them stick around for a little bit longer. We know the deal with the flyweight division. So, man, who do you think continues the win streak here, Smolka or Schnell?
Yeah, I think Schnell's coming into his own as of recently, especially in his last 2 fights against Beltran and Naoki Inoue, who was actually pretty good. He was an undefeated prospect, and Schnell came through as an underdog in that spot. Smolka, we know he had the drinking problem, got cut, won a couple fights, and then came back and got a win against pretty much an inexperienced kid. He definitely did his thing, mounted the kid, treated him very accordingly. How I see this fight playing out, I see Smolka kind of switching up his style a little bit. In the past, he kind of stood up a little bit more than he used to, and or more than he needed to, and he got exposed. He's not a good striker, man. He leaves his chin up in the air. He's uncoordinated. He's slow. But one thing about Smolka is he's scrappy. He's a whine, and he won't quit, man. You gotta take this guy out, man. He's gonna keep coming. Mateus Nicolau, you saw how much he got dropped. He got dropped, 3 or 4 times, and he was still rolling. This guy will not stop scrambling for leg locks, arm bars, all that good stuff. I feel like Schnell, his last 2 fights, especially his last one, man, this guy seems like he's coming to his own, man. It seems like, Schnell, he was one of these guys that had a lot of hype going into his season of Tough, and he just didn't live up to it. He took the loss to Robbie Font, took the loss to Sandoval. And these next two fights, he seems like he's just way more calmer, a lot more comfortable in that octagon. I think if Schnell avoids the match situations, avoids the scrambling situations, I think he can win an easy decision here just based on, like I've said in the past, Louis Smolka does not have a good style to win a decision, but he does have a good style to get late finishes and to kind of spook guys into making big mistakes, man. This guy doesn't stop. But I think Schnell's going to just squeak this one out by split decision. I think Smolka will have his moments. You know, I still question Schnell's chin, but I think Schnell's getting better fight to fight. And like I said, man, as long as he avoids the occasional, big scramble from Smolka, I think he wins this decision. I think he's too clean on the feet. And I think Smolka will just make too many mistakes on the feet.
Yeah, both these guys have been making big improvements, especially Matt Schnell, because when he first came into the UFC, he was very hyped up. I mean, you guys remember guys like Dustin Poirier talking about their boy Matt Schnell. And those first two UFC fights, obviously he got brutally knocked out, but even the lead up to those knockouts, he looked okay, but it was just kind of nothing special. Seemed like he might wash out. That Marco Psycho Beltran fight was a loser leaves home fight. Basically, he had to play it safe there. I wasn't too impressed, but it was at least a step in the right direction. Maybe a little bit of a confidence builder to show him that, hey, I can go 15 straight minutes in the UFC, and I can win here. I do belong. So he got that win, and I felt like that win was a huge momentum builder for him because the next fight against Inoue, that's the best Schnell's ever looked. That was the first time I was like, okay, this guy actually is progressing, and he really might now be living up to the hype that people were giving him years ago back when he was on Tough. This guy's been very hyped for a very long time, and now he's finally starting to live up to it. And with Louis Smolka, he had to make some big changes. He made those big changes, man. And not only in his personal life, but even in his fighting. I felt like he was super mature that last time out. He wasn't taking as many shots as he normally does. And oftentimes, he'll put himself in bad positions just to scramble out of them because he's that confident in his scrambling abilities. Against Suma Jerry or whatever his name is, he didn't even have to do that, man. He just doubled him from the jump and created the scramble by being on top this time, not starting on bottom. So I do think his maturity is a big thing. Plus, he doesn't have to cut to 25 for this fight. He's the bigger man. And not to mention, of course, no one's brought up the X Factor. He's Hawaiian. The guy is as durable as they come. He's as tough as they come. And I think that eventually at some point in this fight, look, it's going to be close. Matt Schnell's probably going to pick him apart, land some calf kicks. I know those guys at ATT are drilling those religiously. Great weapon. A game-changing weapon, might I say. But I think eventually Smolka's going to get on top. I think he's going to pound him out. I think it's going to be a ground-and-pound TKO. I got Louis Smolka inside the distance here. Second or third round, ground-and-pound TKO. Next up, in the heavyweight division, we got Maurice Greene. He's 6-2, and Jeff Hughes is 10-1. Now, Shaq, this is actually a rematch from, I believe, back in LFA. Jeff Hughes is minus 220. Maurice Greene is plus 180. Based on these odds, as you know, Jeff Hughes did win the first time they fought, unanimous decision. Then both guys were on Tough. Now they're both in the UFC. Who you got in the rematch?
Yeah, Jeff Hughes, it seems like he's a hyped-up prospect because he got that co-sign from Stipe Miocic, his teammate, but just projection-wise, I'm really not that high on him in the heavyweight division, but I do think he gets this win here over Greene. Greene had that submission loss to Batista on Tough as well. His ground game is very suspect. I just think Hughes is the better overall fighter in this spot, and he's one of these heavyweights kind of similar to Stipe. He likes to extend the fights. He's not really known for his one-punch KOs, but I think he gets the win here over Greene. I just think Greene makes too many mistakes on the mat, and I think Hughes will get the win.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, it seemed like a pretty comfortable win last time. But since that point, I will say this about Maurice Greene. I wasn't that impressed on Tough, but in that UFC debut, that shit he pulled off was pretty gangster, man, especially for a heavyweight. You don't see heavyweights going out there submitting guys off their backs. So I was like, that was pretty fucking cool. And Jeff Hughes, he did his thing last time. He might do his thing this time. I feel like Maurice Greene's got the higher ceiling than Jeff Hughes. It's just about has he caught up to that point now. I really don't know. That's what we're going to have to see. If it goes how it did a year ago, I mean, obviously Jeff Hughes is going to come out here and grind it out, but I do think Maurice has been putting in work. I'm gonna take him for the upset here, man. I know it's easy to pick Hughes based on how the first fight went, and maybe it goes like that again, but I think Maurice has been making improvements. I'm going to take him here to upset Jeff Hughes in the rematch. Now, next up in the featherweight division, we got Grant Dawson. He's 12-1, and Julian Erosa is 22-6. And currently they got Grant Dawson minus 170. The comeback on Julian Erosa is plus 150. So, I mean, both these guys, this is redemption for both guys. I mean, Julian Erosa, obviously,
that money 1-2 by King Cage put him out. And with Grant Dawson, that money drug testing by USADA put him out. So who's going to get back in the win column here?
Yeah, Grant Dawson seems like he's really hyped up. I'm not sold on him at all. I think his striking is not up to par to be where he's at right now. But luckily for him, he's fighting Erosa, who keeps his hands completely down. His chin is very suspect. And it's sad because Erosa's actually not that bad of a fighter. He's scrappy, he's tough. I mean, it's just the guy fights blatantly with his hands down and he's got no chin. So I know Grant Dawson doesn't have any KOs on his record. He's mostly a submission guy. But you never know with Erosa, man. The guy has no chin and he keeps his hands down. So, from a betting perspective, I do think it's dog or pass, but personally I just can't bet on Erosa. But Grant Dawson, this guy is very green, man. His jiu-jitsu is good, but Erosa jiu-jitsu is good as well. He's got a lot more experience. And to beat Erosa, guys generally knock him out, man. We saw in the Contender Series fight with Emmers. Emmers had no chance of taking him down, and Emmers is a guy that, wrestled Sandhagen and Alexander Hernandez. So I think Erosa's takedown defense is good. It's just a matter of, is he going to get caught with a fluke punch somewhere along the line? I got to go with Grant Dawson just because Erosa's just, he's, what's the word I'm looking for? He's just a big letdown, man. Not even a letdown. He's just not reliable. He's just untrustworthy. So I'll go with Dawson by default, but I'd be real careful with Dawson, man. I'm not sold on this guy.
Yeah, I feel that sentiment, man. It's funny because when the matchup was announced, it was like, oh, cool, we get to fade Julian Erosa again. And I was really looking forward to watching the tape on Grant Dawson because, it doesn't take much. All we got to do is come out here, hit him on the chin, and the fight's going to be over shortly after. Well, then I watched Grant Dawson, and turns out the guy has zero stand-up whatsoever. I was like, oh my God, man. So we're probably not going to knock him out standing. So this guy, Grant Dawson, he's a decent jiu-jitsu. He's a decent grappler. He wants to get on top, impose his will, mix up the submissions. The thing is, it's kind of hard to gauge where he's at because the guy he fought on Contender Series was complete trash. So, that guy, they literally brought him in to lose. He was the guy that got brought in to lose on the regional scene as well. They did that on Contender Series. Grant Dawson did his little spastic stand-up, mixed in the takedown, got it to the mat, and finished the fight. Can you do that against Erosa? I don't know. It really comes down to how's Erosa's grappling. That's the big question. Because we always criticize his chin. We know he's got no chin, but Dawson's got no stand-up to capitalize on that no chin. So it's actually not as bad of a matchup for Erosa as the line indicates. And I don't know shit about Grant Dawson. I mean, the guy got suspended for steroids 2 years ago. He's like 21 years old. And I don't believe this is a T-City situation where, the guy's so fucking good that one little pop is going to make a difference. It didn't make a difference for T-City because the guy is just that damn good with his technique. I don't think Dawson's that good with his technique. I think this guy probably does need steroids. I really don't know how this fight's going to go, but I'll just go with Julian Erosa because he's actually proven more to me despite his chin, so I'll go with Erosa for the upset. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got Yana Kunitskaya. She's 11-4, and Marion Reneau is 9-4. And currently they got Yana Kunitskaya minus 170. The comeback on Marion Reneau is plus 150. Shaq, you got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in Marion Reneau versus one of the bigger women in the weight class in Yana Kunitskaya. Which way are you going?
Yeah, I like Yana in this fight just due to Marion Reneau's terrible, terrible wrestling. Her takedown defense is complete garbage. She can't stuff a takedown. She's a black belt, so she loves to, go for her arm bars off her back. Kunitskaya, I think, I don't want to say she's a little overrated, but I think she's, just average, I think she's got a good clinch game, good takedowns like she showed in the Landsberg fight, a decent jab. I'd say her weakness is probably like her in-tight boxing. She seems like she doesn't like getting hit, but I think Reneau does have better boxing. But like I said, if Yana just plays her smart and clinches her up, gets these takedowns like we saw in the Zingano fight, she should get this win here.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, because Marion Reneau, I do think that she's levels above Yana in terms of pure jiu-jitsu technique. Like, these two grapple in a gi, and I think Marion Reneau is probably tapping her out. But in terms of MMA, Yana is so much bigger than her, and I do think she will be able to dictate the range, the pace, the tempo, everything, where this fight goes, and mix in the takedowns. Just be a little bit bigger, just be the bully.
in there, and she just has to avoid the subs. Avoid the subs and you win this fight. Both of them have shitty takedown defense, let me add that. But Marion isn't really known for her offensive takedown. She's more of, you put her on her back. Sometimes she'll sweep. She'll attack the subs like she did against Sarah McMahon. But in this spot, I think she's going to get grinded out for 3 rounds. I'm going to go with Yana Kunitskaya via decision. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got Anthony Rocco Martin. He's 15-4. And Serginho Moret is 14-3. Currently, they got Anthony Rocco Martin minus 200. The comeback on Serginho Moret is plus 170. Well, Shaq, Tony Martin and Anthony Rocco Martin are 2 completely different guys. You think Anthony Rocco Martin continues the momentum here against the very underrated Serginho Moret?
Yeah, Rocco Martin's been looking real good at 170s with the serious wins over Nakamura, LaFleur, and then Jake Matthews, his last fight. He's been looking better fight to fight. Serginho, we know what he brings. He's a serious jiu-jitsu black belt that throws bombs. He's not very technical. His cardio is actually a little not as bad as you think, but it's still a factor, especially in a fight like this. And, I see Serginho coming out a little emotional, probably trying to take Tony's head off a little early. But, I see Tony just coming down the middle with those straight punches, man. I think his boxing's just on a different level than Serginho's, his technical boxing at least. All he's got to do is just stop playing around with his hands down occasionally, and he should be fine here in my opinion. He's definitely got to watch out on the mat, but Rocco Martin's jiu-jitsu is also very good. I just think he's the better overall fighter, and I actually think he gets a second-round knockout here.
Man, this is a great fight. Obviously, with Serginho Moret, I mentioned how underrated this guy is. And I stand by that. I mean, obviously, we all know wins over Tim Means, wins over Neil Magny, Omari Akhmedov. So Serginho Moret has been in there with pretty much everyone. I mean, the last guy to beat him is the champion, Kamaru Usman. And prior to that, he hadn't lost since the tough finale versus Cesar Mutanchi a million years ago. And in that fight, he dropped Mutanchi. So Serginho Moret is one of the toughest outs in the welterweight division. He's always flying under the radar. Not to mention, we all love that little celebration he does when he taps someone out. You know what I'm saying? That little jiu-jitsu celebration. My boy Serginho is the man, training out of Evolucio Thai. I know people will criticize his stand-up technique because, yeah, it's not by the book. He swings very loopy, wild bombs. But I'll tell you what, one of those loopy, wild bombs lands on your chin, and you will feel it. You will go down. I mean, this guy hits as hard as they come. And I know his cardio has historically been criticized. And I don't really think in the Tim Means fight it was a cardio issue. I thought that was a slip and rip issue. I thought Tim Means hit him clean on the chin in that second round. You guys all remember the sequence I'm talking about? That one beautiful straight left that Tim Means landed that kind of shut Serginho down. That wasn't a cardio issue. That was a pinpoint strike to the chin issue. As far as Anthony Rocco Martin, man, he washed out at 155. He was killing himself to make the weight. I mean, I remember when me and Shaq interviewed him before the OAM fight, and we asked him how the weight cut was going. He was like, you know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to make it, but, he just didn't even know how he was going to do it, But now at 170, he can eat what he wants. He's got a new fiance. The guy's got a completely different life at 170. He's training at ATT now. He's out of Boston. He's a different man. It's Anthony Rocco Martin. He wants to just be called Rocco. He doesn't even want to be called Rocco Martin. Just Rocco. Let's just call him that. So Serginho versus Rocco, man. I mean, look, Serginho's going to come out here, give him a real fight. And if Rocco, if he's getting a little cocky, he's getting a little arrogant, if he wants to fight with his hands down, maybe taunt him like he did to Jake Matthews, play some games in there, because we know at 170, Martin is as confident as they come, and he's got a little attitude in there, man. He likes to talk shit in there, something he never did at 55. That's how good he's feeling. You do that against Serginho, I mean, you might get caught. You might hit the mat. So he's got to come out here, be disciplined. Do not get into a pissing contest. Don't bust out the ruler. You know what I'm saying, man? So I think Anthony Martin's going to win this fight via decision or late TKO, contingent on him being disciplined here. Hey, guys, Dan here. Just wanted to let you know that Kyle Marley's bets are available at bestfightpicks.com. As you guys know, he's on a historic run. He's in the midst of a real heater. We're talking about a 200-unit run. And I mean, this is to the point where his last event, the John Jones versus Anthony Smith UFC 235 card, he won over 30 units on that card alone. And this isn't any low-limit props or any bullshit. These are all bets that you can play in any sports book with any limit, straight bets, parlays, no bullshit. Sign up to Kyle Marley's plays today at bestfightpicks.com and join this historic run. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got Omari Akhmedov. He's 17-4, and Tim Boetsch is 21-12. Currently, they got Omari Akhmedov minus 135. The comeback on Tim Boetsch is plus 115. Shaq, I've heard some people say that Tim Boetsch should actually be favored in this spot. So I gotta know, man, do you agree that Tim Boetsch should be favored over a Russian with OV as the last two letters of his last name?
We know that whole Russian shit is a complete myth since Albu fucking got tapped out in a myth that she had Ozzy and Amagov with her.
There's no OVs in Albu's last name.
So she got Av with her in her corner.
As far as the males, it's not a myth.
But, or fucking Kabilov. That shit's a myth.
He got robbed, bro.
But as far as this Omari fight and Boetsch goes, I get it why it's lined close because, what's Omari's weakness that everyone knows? He gasses out in the third round in a lot of his fights. And Tim Boetsch, what is he known for? He's known for getting a lot of comeback KOs in the third round. So I definitely see why it's lined close. Timmy's a crafty vet, man. This guy, he's got those old school. He's like Eddie Alvarez. I'm not trying to compare them as fighters, but he's got those dirty tricks up his sleeve. He not saying he's a dirty fighter, but he's a guy where he gives you that false sense of security. He thinks, hey, look at him, he's got a big belly, he looks old as shit, and then he sometimes he knocks guys the fuck out. But this ain't Johnny Hendricks anymore, and this ain't
Yushin Okami.
And Yushin Okami.
Rafael
Natal, yeah. So this is definitely somewhat of a step up for competition for Boetsch in a while. I know he's coming off the Carlos Jr. fight in which he got finished in the first round. We know Boesch's weakness when he hits that mat. He doesn't like jiu-jitsu or wrestling. So
for a D1
a D1 guy, but I kind of compare him to the Moraga type of D1 wrestler.
Like a Lando D1 wrestler?
He's always on his back for some reason. But, I think Omari at 185 is definitely a lot healthier. And even at 170, after the Elizeu fight and the Serginho fight, the Razak fight, a win over Razak Alasana. That was a very impressive win. Razak Alasana has devastating power. I mean, you saw what the guy did to Niko Price and Sabah Hamasi. He left him on a stretcher in the octagon. So, I think Omari actually is improving in his last two fights. And the Vettori fight, I'm not convinced that third round was a 10-8. Personally, I scored the first two rounds for Omari. I think that his cardio is kind of comparable to Serginho's in a sense where it's not as bad as you think. He can keep it up a little longer than you think. There's definitely a good chance that he comes out here and counters Boetsch with the heavy hooks and puts him down. We've seen Boetsch go down several times to Dan Hendo. I know Hendo hits like a truck, but Omari hits like a truck as well. And let's not forget that Omari's got a serious shot, man. I think Omari's got way more aspects to winning this fight. I think Boetsch can only win this by a fluke punch behind the ear, if Omari gets tired. So, I think Omari can wrestle him, knock him out. I think, I guess on paper, Boetsch would have the better cardio just because Omari has had bad third rounds. That's a fact. But I think Omari knocks him out in the first year, actually.
I mean, I feel you, dude. Obviously, got massive respect for both guys. Tim Boetsch, a dude that's been around the game for a long-ass time. Not even the Yushin Okami comeback win, because I know that's the first impression that people had of Tim Boetsch. But what about when he threw that guy long-ass time? That David Heath throw, that was some vicious shit, man. For y'all that don't know, go to Fight Pass, check out Tim Boetsch versus David Heath. He literally throws this guy and knocks him out. It was fucking amazing. And also the fight with Nick Ring, Nick the Promise Ring, right? No, against Nick Ring when he had that massive judo throw. Bro, that fucking judo throw he did was stupid, man. Oh, yeah, he beat Kendall Grove's ass too. But anyways, back to this matchup. People saying that Tim Boetsch should be favored here. No, he should not be favored here. Look, I get it. He's got a comeback chance. If he's going to win this fight, it's going to be a comeback. There's no way in hell he controls this fight start to finish, I don't think. But yeah, if Omari starts to gas out, which he has done in the past, and Tim Boetsch makes a comeback, which he has done in the past, I see the recipe for the upset, no doubt about it. But personally, I don't think it's going to go down like that, man. I think that Omari Akhmedov, ever since he moved up to 85, and I know it's only been one fight, and between you and me, he beat Marvin Vettori. That shit in the third round, that was no 10-8. Omari won the first two rounds. He lost the last round. That's a 29-28 unanimous decision. Sometimes these Vegas judges, they don't know what they're watching, but we all know he beat Martin Vettori 2-1. And not only that, the fight right before that, he fought Razak Al-Hassan at 170, and I could tell that was his last hurrah at 170 because if you look at his physique in the Razak fight compared to the Elizeu fight or the Serginho fight, he looks so much bigger. He looks like a middleweight. It looks like, dude, this guy's got to move up soon. And ever since he did, I mean, you saw the size difference between him and Razak, but then him and Marvin Vettori in prior fights, he might have looked for a way out in that third round when he started to get gassed out. Here, he held on, man. So I feel like the gassing issues might be a little bit overblown. And if he can hold on here, he's going to beat Tim Boetsch by decision if it goes all three. But I personally think he comes out here and knocks out Boetsch. Look, Boetsch has had a great run. So much respect for him. Look, he's talking about retirement. He doesn't have to do this shit, man. The guy's rich. He's set for life. He's coming in here getting this 6-figure check. I mean, man, I got a lot of respect for my boy Tim Boetsch, man, but I got Omari Akhmedov in this one. Now, next up in the lightweight division, we got Beneil Dariush. He's 15-4, and Drew Dober is 20-8. And currently they got Beneil Dariush minus 200. The comeback on Drew Dober's plus 170. Shaq, a couple of years ago, would have been minus 400 Beneil Dariush. So I got to ask you, does that mean there's value in Benny? Or do you think that the surging Drew Dober might come out here and get this upset?
Yeah, I think this is a different minus 200 plus 170 situation, like in comparison to Rocco Martin and Serginho. Rocco Martin's on the ups. I feel like Beneil Dariush looked good his last fight, but, Thiago Moises, like, all I gotta say is go type in Moises first Watley on YouTube, watch the first round, and then get back to me. And then get back to me, So the guy, Moises, definitely a good confidence builder, but the guy was jumping guillotines every round. The guy didn't want to fight. I mean, the guy is known for not wanting to fight. So that was definitely a good 3-rounder for Beneil to get his confidence. But prior to that, man, I can't tell you the last time Beneil looked good in a fight, man. Even he had that Chiesa loss, then the Vic KO in the first round, and then the Rashid one in Mexico, and then Edson Barbosa. I don't want to say he changed everything because I still feel like
he did change everything.
I feel like the same issues he's having after the Edson fight are the same issues he had before the Edson fight. I know Dober. Dober, I would say, I wouldn't even really say he's a Muay Thai guy. I would say he's just a tough Nebraskan, man. I think he's got a better chin than Dariush for sure, better cardio, but Dariush is definitely way better on the mat. Like, that's a fact. Dariush could probably, give him noogies on the mat, But, and Dober's made a lot of mistakes on the mat. I mean, the Busquets fight, the Escudero fight, the Mercier fight. I mean, this guy definitely makes his mistakes on the mat. So, that's why he's the underdog, and I've heard Beneil in some interviews saying he's looking to expose Drew Dober's jiu-jitsu. So if he does that, I think he should get the win here. But I don't trust Beneil at a line like minus 200. I mean, we're talking about a guy where he was number 12. If there is so-called levels to this, why are guys coming into the UFC and knocking the number 12 guy out in the world? And I knew that fight was a little suspect just due to his prior fights. Look at the Dunham fight. He wins the first round convincingly. He uses too much energy. He's very easy. He can be manipulated a lot to use more energy than he should. And I mean, it's been happening since like 2012. So, I think Dober, if he stays off the mat, I think he's got better. I think Dariush has better Muay Thai for a round, but I think Dober has better Muay Thai for 3 rounds. And I think Dober's got the better chin, but it all comes down to if he stays off the mat. I'm not sure if it's necessarily worth the shot because Dariush does have that big edge on the mat. That is his comfort zone. But it's no guarantees Dariush uses that. And another factor is Dober, from what I read, the guy puts on so much weight in between the weight cut and the fight. I think he cuts like 30-something pounds. They had to make him fight Camacho at 170 because he couldn't fight. They didn't allow him to make 155. So Beneil might have a tough time holding him down, man. So I'm actually going with Dober in an upset for this. I think Beneil's chin suspect, his cardio suspect, and I think he really hasn't been tested in a real fight since that Rashid fight back in Mexico. And I feel like Rashid just conceded that center of the octagon, and he laid an egg those first 2 rounds, man. And that's why he got cut, because he almost did the same thing against Bobby Greene, and he's doing the same thing over there in PFL. So, I definitely think Beneil's better on the mat, but I see actually a little bit more past the victory for Dober. I think he can definitely expose him in the late rounds, just like all the other slower guys than Beneil Dariush have done in the past.
Yeah, listen, I respectfully disagree. I actually think Beneil's got more past the victory because on the feet, yeah, Dober's definitely got the better chin. Even though he got dropped by OAM, he's definitely got the better chin. I mean, that Dariush versus Barbosa KO.
One of the biggest myths that we had to defunct this week was that Dariush won 7 minutes of that fight. He won like 2 minutes of that fight.
So that Barbosa KO definitely diminished some life off Beneil's chin. No questions asked. So if him and Dober go toe-to-toe, It's not going to necessarily be 50-50 anymore like it would have been in the past. Dober might have a slight edge there. Dober has been hitting harder. I like his footwork. I mean, the guy is a state champion kickboxer, so Dober's got some good fundamentals down. He's also been in the UFC 10-plus fights, so the guy's been paying his dues, but he definitely has some holes in his game as far as jiu-jitsu, especially to compare to a guy like Beneil Dariush. I mean, Beneil arguably beat Kron Gracie in jiu-jitsu. Beneil's a black belt world champion. But also, Beneil can strike too, man. And Beneil's a southpaw. Is this southpaw versus southpaw?
Oh, sure.
Southpaw versus southpaw. That's going to make it very interesting. That's going to mean that the leg kicks are going to be open for Beneil. That's something that he hasn't been able to use in a long time. Because normally he's just kicking orthodox dudes in their body because, southpaw versus orthodox. But now that southpaw versus southpaw, I feel like he will start to use some leg kicks in this fight as well. Beneil's got a very hard left kick. But in the pocket, it's going to be sketchy. But I think that Beneil closes the distance, makes it a grinding fight. Something that he did in his last fight against Moises, but something that he also did in the past against Carlos Diego Ferreira, against Jim Miller. I think he can take that approach in this fight. I think he should take that approach in this fight. Don't stand and bang with Dober. Not because he can't necessarily win. I mean, Beneil's got good stand-up. He comes out of a great gym. But that's going to give Dober a chance to win. Right now, Dober's operating on full confidence, and Dober believes he can go out there and knock Beneil Dariush out. No doubt about it. And that's probably his game plan. He has to come out here, try to land that big right hook, that left high kick, whatever it takes on the chin of Dariush. Because he does land clean, he will knock him out. But that being said, with Beneil having more past the victory, I think he pins him up against the fence, mixes in takedowns, possibly submits Drew Dober, but if not, I think he wins the decision. I'm going to go with Beneil Dariush here for the victory. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got Ben Rothwell, he's 36-10, and Blagoy Ivanov is 16-2. Currently, they got Blagoy Ivanov, he's minus 130. The comeback on Ben Rothwell is plus 110. Shaq, both these guys are coming off decision losses to Junior Cigano. The question is, who's going to get back on track, get a win here, and take the next step up towards the title shot?
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Neither of these guys will ever touch a UFC title shot or the top 10. But Ivanov,
You sure they're not in the top 10 as we speak?
Yes, I'll bet that they're not in the top. Maybe Rothwell had USADA, so I bet he's not. But yeah, Ivanov, he came off that fight with JDS, 5-rounder. Ivanov, he's one of these slower-paced heavyweights. A lot of his fights do get extended, but he does have the knockout win over Volkov prior to the UFC. Ivanov.
He got choked out by Volkov.
Oh yeah, my bad. Fuck. He beat Fedor in Combat Sambo. That's what he's most famous for.
Blagoy?
Yeah, he beat Fedor in Combat Sambo. And then Rothwell's coming off this USADA suspension, and Rothwell was on a run prior to the JDS fight, in which he got jabbed to the body for 5 rounds and his head jabbed off. And, Rothwell's just one of these guys where he's also a guy that likes to give you a false sense of security. I mean, he's unathletic, he's slow, he gets hit a bunch, but if he touches you behind that ear, you might go down. And, I mean, he's been known to... Or what about his... what's it called? The go-go choke. He tapped Josh Barnett out with it. And who else did he tap out with it? Mitrione. That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's definitely got some subs as well. I forget what his jiu-jitsu's coach name is, but he gives him a lot of credit. Or when he was on that run, he was giving him a lot of credit. But this fight, I feel like...
the little Brazilian guy, right?
the little Brazilian guy.
I remember that shit.
He just used to kept talking about him. This guy's changing my life.
Because I remember on the countdown, this little midget was like choking Ben out, and Ben loves the guy.
Yeah, he's like, this guy's changing my life. So I forget his name though, but I feel like this can be possibly with Ben's layoff. I know he's a serious vet, been fighting in the IFL and all other promotions. So the ring rust might not be a factor, but there is a chance it is. And there's a chance this is a very ugly, slow, shitty heavyweight fight. I mean, especially if neither guy gets the knockout, because they're both at times very lackluster and just like to scrape out, or Ivanov definitely likes to scrape out decisions. But I'm going to go with Ivanov. He's been more active lately, but I'm not really impressed with Ivanov. I just think he's just a Russian, where's he from? He's not from. He's got that Russian coast.
He's from Sofia, Bulgaria.
Yeah, Bulgaria. He's a Bulgarian coaster, So I think he will coast the victory here, but I'm not too confident, man. Rothwell, I got a lot of respect for him. I'm a big fan. I think he could knock out anyone. I mean, he's got wins over Overeem, Josh Barnett, Mitrione. So this guy's definitely accomplished way more than Ivanov has. And, you know, a couple years ago, this line would have probably been a lot more inflated for Rothwell's favor. But now the fact that he doesn't have that juice and that layoff, I see why Ivanov's favorite, so I'm going to go with him, though.
They never locked the cage behind Travis Brown and Ben Rothwell, did they?
No.
Man, that would have been a nice finish for Ben Rothwell, wouldn't it? Yeah. When they have, man, they should just give him Travis Brown as his bounce back fight, man. Don't give him to Blagoy Ivanov. Look, I know Ivanov wasn't that impressive in his UFC debut against Junior Cigano, but not too many people are going to be impressive getting outboxed by Cigano for 5 straight rounds. But I'll tell you what, he took it like a man. And if you watch his fights in WSOF, I know that some of them might not have been as exciting, but the guy is solid and he's got good fundamental boxing. Decently well-rounded, very tough to take down. He's actually kind of smaller for heavyweight, so that means he's a little bit faster. I like Blagoy Ivanov, man. I think he's a little bit more technically sound than Ben Rothwell. You just got to look out for the same shit anyone has to look out for with Ben Rothwell. The guy hits like a truck. You dive in on a takedown without setting it up. He will go-go choke you. I think the go-go choke is similar to kind of like a 10-finger guillotine. But anyway, so one of you jiu-jitsu guys can correct me on the actual, like, what a go-go choke actually is. But isn't it similar to, like, the 10-finger guillotine? I think so, right? So y'all let me know. But, yeah, I mean, you don't set up the takedown against a guy like Ben. He will choke you out, as Josh Barnett found out. But I think that Blagoy picks him apart for 3 rounds, avoids the haymaker. I mean, that's the key here, right? And probably wins a decision, but be careful, man. I'd like dog money if I was going to bet Blagoy here, but I will pick him to get this win. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got Tim the Dirty Bird Means. He's 28-10, and Niko the Hybrid Price is 12-2. Currently, they got Tim Means minus 200. The comeback on Niko Price is plus 170. Well, Shaq, if Tim Means is minus 200, that means he should come out here and stop Niko Price. My question is, will Niko Price find a way to make this that typical scarecrow fight, get this on the mat, and potentially choke Tim Means out?
Yeah, Niko Price is also one of these guys that likes to give you that false sense of security, become a punching bag for the first few minutes, and then either knock you out like how he did you, Ben, or submit you like he did Thatch and George Sullivan. Who else did he beat?
He knocked out Morono.
He knocked out Morono, but he got dropped twice in that first round. And he came back. He's one of those guys that likes to get beat up for a little bit and then come back. I definitely think Tim is on a little bit of a decline. You know, I still think he's a good striker. Obviously, he got some of the best 1-2s in the welterweight division. But, you know, I would say that he definitely is declining a little bit. I'm not saying it was a steroid issue or anything, but his body does seem a little...
Like Paul for us?
His body does seem a little slimmer these days. You know, I just feel like he's more... Even though he's coming off a finish, I would say he's more... I don't want to say he's a point fighter, but, you know, I feel like that's more the Tim Means you're going to be seeing, unless he finds a home for that straight left against Niko, which is very doable. I mean, Niko's chin is on a silver platter. You know, Niko Price... I wouldn't say necessarily he's got a wrestling advantage here, but, I mean, he is strong. He does get opportunistic takedowns, and he's very opportunistic. When this guy has his moment, he will finish you, like we saw with Randy Brown, like we seen with Morono. I mean, this guy, he's a tough guy, but he's coming off a devastating KO loss to Razak Al-Hassan, kind of similar to Moret's KO loss, a little bit worse, actually. But Niko's a tough guy. You know, he's got a different mindset than Moret, so I think he'll be a little bit okay here. But, you know, I think if Tim plays this safe and just point fights Niko, I think eventually he could find a home for one of those elbows or that left hand. And it's not even a guarantee if Niko's better at wrestling, because we've seen Tim utilize wrestling as well in the past as well. So I do think Tim Means is the better overall fighter. So I will take him to win a unanimous decision here. But, you know, I think it's actually lined about accurately. You know, I think Tim Means will get the win here. But Niko Price, you know, he's a punching bag. The only thing I'll say about Niko is he's a scarecrow, man. The guy, you make any little mistake in there, he will finish you.
I agree with you, man. I think this line is pretty damn accurate. There's not too much value on Tim Means because this is exactly where I said it. I said solid 2-1 favorite. And I'm not a guy that likes to bring up stats on the show. I mean, don't get me wrong. I obviously read all the stats in my research and put the work in and look into everything. But in this fight, I do want to bring up a stat. So you see a fight between Tim Means and Belal Muhammad, and you see it's such a back and forth fight. At the end of that fight, every time I rewatch it,
I score it differently. Sometimes I score it for Belal, sometimes I score it for Tim Means. The fact is, that was a 50-50 split decision type fight, back and forth. And the reason I bring that up is you look at how many strikes landed per minute do both those guys have, Tim Means and Belal Muhammad. Well, it's around 5 strikes landed per minute. Literally, both of them are literally exactly the same. That's why that fight went the way it did. Well, then you look at Niko Price. Well, how many strikes does he land per minute? He lands 2.5. That's literally half of what Tim Means lands. So what that means is that Tim Means is going to be popping Niko Price's head back at will, but there will be one shot in return every couple seconds. He's got to look out for that counter overhand, because that's what this means. He's going to be outstriking him at a 2-to-1 clip. That being said, if this hits the mat, Tim Means needs to relax. Tim Means needs to be careful. Do not panic like you have in the past. I mean, Tim Means is well-rounded, man. I know people try to act like he's just a striker, like he's got no ground game. That's complete bullshit, because I've seen Tim Means go out there, take guys down, own them on the mat. I mean, you saw him go out there, put that MMA clinic on George Sullivan, and tap him out with that arm triangle. You saw that fight with Ricky Reneau when he got him down. That ground and pound was on point. So Tim Means is a very well-rounded fighter. However, naturally speaking, he gravitates towards his MMA boxing, and he does have some kicks in there too, and beautiful elbows, knees, the whole bit. His MMA striking is really on point, and with Niko Price, he is an opportunistic finisher, so he's probably going to take this ass whooping up front, and if he does have any chance to win this fight, it's not going to be from the bell, it's not going to be a decision, it's going to have to be a comeback finish, kind of like Tim Boetsch. So whether Niko does that or not, if you're betting the plus 170 or the plus 180 on Niko, it's because you're banking on him getting an opportunistic finish. You feel like, look, let's just take this ass whooping up front. Let's get picked apart by Tim Means, but eventually we blast double him, try to take his back, try to choke him out. That would be your path to victory. That being said, I think Tim Means plays it safe. I think he picks apart Niko Price, and just the output that he has compared to Niko, I mean, it's double. So that being said, I won't be surprised if Tim Means knocks him out. But if it goes all 3, I will pick Tim Means. But if this hits the mat, you got to be very careful. I will go with Tim Means for the victory here. Co-main event of the evening in the welterweight division. We got Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos Capoeira. He's 20-5, and Curtis Millender is 17-3. Well, Shaq, Elizeu Zaleski is no longer buried on the prelims. Now he's the co-main event. Finally, both of these, I don't want to call them prospects. In my opinion, now they're contenders. Both of these emerging contenders, man, they're making big noise, big waves at 170. Who takes the next step towards the top 15? Or towards the top 10, might I say?
Yeah, both these guys, I think they're both ranked now. Elizeu, I mean, his last fight against the Italian kid, poor Italian kid got knocked stiff with his leg folded back. And the fight before that, Strickland had to see the darkness as well. And not too many people, I mean, he's the only guy to put Strickland down for the count. And Millender, man, what can I say about this guy? I mean, this guy's 3 fights in the UFC have been solid, man. I mean, he went out there, starched Thiago Alves with that check knee. Then he goes out there against Max Griffin, a tough guy, a common opponent between him and Elizeu. And he also had a tough fight with Griffin as well. Griffin does give his opponents tough fights. And Millender was able to stay composed, win a 29-28 decision, style on Griffin in those last 2 rounds. And in his last fight against CR, I mean, he lit CR up, man. CR was a zombie in there, man. He fucked CR so bad up that he had CR making terroristic threats on in the octagon. So, I think Millender is solid at 170. I think he's got a bright future. I think he's 6'3", long, athletic, rangy. Only thing I'll say about Millender is I don't think he'll ever be a real player in the division just due to his takedown defense and his jiu-jitsu. I think even though he did come out on top of a couple scrambles against CR, CR is a 500 fighter. He's just average. I think Elizeu Zaleski is on a completely different level. Now, Elizeu Zaleski, this is also the best opponent he's fought. He also fought Griffin. He got wobbled by Griffin. He lost it around to Griffin as well. But he's also got the wins over Lyman Good, a fight of the night win in which Lyman Good told his corner in between rounds, "I'm scared to get knocked out." That's the type of fear Zaleski puts in his opponents, man. When he looks into these kids' eyes, they generally break. I think Millender is definitely the more rangier guy, and if he came out here and outpointed Elizeu, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I think he's that good at his game plan. I think he's super fundamental. I think just to close the distance on the guy is very tough because, you might need a check knee. His counters are definitely on point. And Elizeu, he's going to have to be on point. He can't make those mistakes like how he did in the Griffin fight, or he might get knocked out here. So I would say Millender's weakness is, like I said, the jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but also on the feet, he occasionally gets caught with the one big shot. He has that James Vick defense. He likes to back with his head straight up in the air. And, against guys like CR and Griffin, they might just, miss it, but a guy like Elizeu, he will capitalize. I think Elizeu, for the first time in a while, isn't going to have to worry about guys trying to take his back or, hug his legs. I think he's going to be able to let his stand-up go. And, I see Elizeu finding a home for a spin, or I know Millender 6'3" is going to be really hard to land a spin here, but I see him either landing overhand right, man, or just a left hook while Millender's backing up with his chin up in the air, man. I think Elizeu is one of these guys that also, if you make one mistake, shows any sign of weakness or you're hurt, you're tired, he's the guy that's really going to put you in the ground. So I'm going to go with Elizeu for a mini upset here. But I got a lot of respect for Millender. I think he's got a bright future, but I think Elizeu just has more in the heart, more in the gas tank. I think he's a better grappler than Millender. I think he could actually utilize his black belt jiu-jitsu skills here. I mean, Millender, I think he's a great fighter, but like I said, he'll never be a real player in the division because some of the shit he gets taken down with is just unusable, man. Like some of them are low singles, like from halfway across the cage, and he gives them up. He wins, but I think he's going to lose on Saturday, so I'm going to go with Elizeu.
I love this fight so much, man. Both of these guys have really been putting in work. They've been looking incredible. Curtis Millender, I mean, what a scary dude. 6'3", so long for that weight class. And he fights long, too. Knows how to use his reach. Just that striking, man. You stay on the outside. You play at distance with a guy like him. You go shot for shot with him. Chances are you're going to get knocked the fuck out, man. Most of these guys that stand and bang with Curtis Millender are in deep shit. And you just got to respect that. However, there's massive holes in this game. Obviously, his wrestling defense is horrendous. I mean, all three of his UFC fights he's been taken down. And those three guys he fought aren't wrestlers, man. Thiago Alves, Max Griffin, and CR. Those guys aren't wrestlers. Those guys are strikers, and those guys are taking you down, my man. And it was like not even nicely timed shots either. It was some ugly-ass shit, and that's always been his issue. But I'll tell you what. Props to Curtis Millender because I do know that he's been making improvements in his ground game because that fight against CR Bahadurzada, third round, he hit a nice butterfly sweep. I know it was the usage of the momentum against him, which is what jiu-jitsu is all about, and CR was completely off balance. But hey, the fact that Millender knew to go to that, I was like, okay, he's 100% putting in work, trying to level up his game. So my hat's off to Millender for hitting a butterfly sweep in a UFC fight. But if you think he's going to hit a butterfly sweep against Zaleski, listen, he's not even going to retain his guard against Zaleski if this shit hits the mat. I think if this hits the mat one time, the fight will be over shortly after. And if it's not, I think Zaleski's going to accumulate so much damage on him that if they get back up, Zaleski can go out there and knock him out. Because on the feet, yeah, Millender is super scary. His head kicks, his straight punches, his knees, his elbows, everything. You got to be careful. But you start to get this guy a little tired. You start to make him work. And we already know he's got that tall man defense. And you mix that up with the fact that Elizeu does throw heavy, concussive, devastating blows. He's not scared of anyone. And he's not scared to mix it up either. It's not just overhands. I mean, the guy will throw flying knees, hook kicks, and not to mention, he won't just throw those at the air shack. He's knocked guys out with both those techniques in his last two fights. Flying knee followed by a hook kick. Like, come on. So, Zaleski is the real deal, but not to mention, I got to emphasize how much better his jiu-jitsu is than Millender because you saw that fight against Van Dermini when he's got that locked-in Peruvian necktie. 2 seconds into the fight, that kid's a black belt. You've seen this guy's ground game, and he gets on top of Millender, he will finish. So I think that Elizeu can win via knockout, submission, or decision, whereas I only think Curtis can win via knockout. So for that reason, I will take Elizeu Zaleski via an upset victory here, man, and most likely inside the distance as well. Main event of the evening, we got Junior Cigano dos Santos. He's 20-5, and Derrick the Black Beast Lewis is 21-6. Shaq, this is a hell of a heavyweight fight. For some reason, these two have never fought before. Junior dos Santos has a knack for picking people apart, and you know Derrick Lewis loves to get picked apart and then come back and knock you out. So, which of those two outcomes is going to happen here?
Yeah, it's a tough fight to call, man. I feel like it could be lined a little bit closer just due to Black Beast's history. I know he loses every fight, and 100%, I don't know how much longer he can get away with doing that. 100%. Eventually, that will run out, and he will start to, unless he just makes improvements, which I'm sure he is. JDS, we know what JDS brings. One of the best, probably is the best boxer in the heavyweight division. Solid jabs to the body, upstairs. Saw that Tuivasa fight. I mean, he won his last two fights. I know those two kids were definitely inexperienced in comparison to a Black Beast, so I would definitely say this is the toughest fight out of the three. I mean, we know what this fight comes down to. Black Beast is one of these guys you got to keep your P's and Q's on because he gives you that false sense of security like you're whooping his ass, and then out of nowhere they're putting the smelling salts in your nose. So, I think JDS definitely needs to stay on his P's and Q's, but JDS, for the most part, does stay on his P's and Q's. When JDS loses, it's either by just knockout early or 5-round domination like Cain Velasquez. He either takes a
which Derrick Lewis is not going to do.
Exactly. So that takes out one way, and Lewis. I don't know how many first-round knockouts he has, but generally they're all late, man.
Like Gonzaga.
Oh yeah, Napao.
Well, guess who also knocked Napao in the first round? Junior Dos Santos.
Exactly. So I feel like the Junior should be favored here at 100%. I do think he's the better fighter, but I definitely worry about. I mean, how many times does Black Beast have to prove? Like, be careful playing chalk against that guy.
He beat Ngannou.
He beat Francis Ngannou in a fight, which I predicted that he'd beat Ngannou. He was like plus 300 in that fight. And he's an underdog as well. So, Black Beast's history as an underdog, so I definitely think from a betting perspective it's a dog or pass situation, but I think Junior's savvy in the late rounds in comparison to a Volkov. Volkov can't beat black guys. And his prior opponents, I just think JDS will play it smarter, play it safe. He definitely might get clipped, like that could definitely happen, but I think instead of Lewis turning up in these late rounds, I think it's going to actually just be a slow fight from start to finish. I see a 5-round decision from JDS. I don't want to say 50-45, but 49-46, 49-45, somewhere around there. But be careful, man. I definitely think it's a dog or pass situation from a betting perspective, but I think Black Beast only has a puncher's chance, but that puncher's chance is legit.
Yeah, I mean, look, go back and listen to my breakdown of Volkov versus Black Beast because I called that fight to a tee. Volkov teed off on him for 3 rounds, 4 minutes and 59 seconds up until the last round, and then he got knocked out. So for 14 minutes and 59 seconds was what I was trying to say. Here, I mean, I can see a similar thing happening, except this is a 25-minute fight. I mean, look, Junior Dos Santos is going to pick him apart until he either wins or until he either loses. It's not going to be a back and forth. There's not going to be an early takedown by Black Beast. Like, this fight is pretty cut and dry. Either Dos Santos picks him apart till he wins or picks him apart till he loses. So which way you going? Shit, I don't fucking know. I mean, I can see him going out here winning this decision pretty damn easily, as long as he avoids that big bomb. The thing is, I do think that somewhere along the way, Junior will slow down and eat that bomb. So, 4th or 5th round, I'm going to go with Derrick Lewis via vicious, brutal, stiff performance of the night, KO victory. Black Beast for the win. And now we got to hit up Kyle Marley for the Big Marley Minute. And joining us now on the Big Marley Minute is Big Marley himself. Kyle, it's going down this weekend in Wichita. They got heavyweights in the main event. How's it going?
Hey, not bad, dude. Coming off a huge week, ready to continue that success this weekend.
I mean, it seems like every weekend you're coming off a big week, but this time it's historic, man. We're talking about 30 units in one night alone.
Hell yeah, man. It was a good night. 4-0 night, over 33 units. And people can go to your website and grab this week's. It's a lot cheaper. Hopefully I'll add another 2-0 sweep. And I also got 2 free bets as well.
And just to clarify, these are plays that you can get action down in any book with any limit. I mean, straight bets and parlays, nothing crazy, no fancy props that you can only find in 1 or 2 books. These are bets that are available anywhere.
Yep, straight bets and parlays, that's pretty much all I do.
BestFightPicks.com. Well, Kyle, Junior Dos Santos, he's taking on Derrick Lewis. We know Derrick Lewis has the knack for the comeback. I mean, you think he's going to do that here, or do you think he gets picked apart?
I think he should get picked apart here, but, I mean, you can't really ignore him in DraftKings because it does only take that one shot, and if he gets a knockout at any round as the cheapest fighter on the whole card, then he's probably going to end up on that optimal lineup. So I kind of actually like Lewis here for GPPs for that reason, but I just don't I don't see him getting it done. I think Junior Dos Santos is just going to box him up for 5 rounds unless he can get a finish. It's just that one punch that we're worried about with Lewis. Like, there's no way Lewis can win a submission. There's no way he can win on the scorecards. He has to get that knockout, and he's not the better striker either. So it's got to be that one blow that just puts JDS out. I'm thinking he's not going to get it. It's just that we got JDS as the highest priced fighter on the whole card. I don't really like that. He's going to need a finish probably to pay that off. So if I was just going to make one lineup and use this fight, I'd probably go ahead and just take Lewis. Maybe he can get that 3rd-round knockout again. If so, he'll pay off that price tag.
So I know the fans are really looking forward to Tim Means and Niko Price, and you got Niko Price at a $7,400 salary, and I know for a fact that when this guy wins fights, he finishes fights. That means he's going to cover that $7,400. You think he's live here against Means?
I think he's live, yeah, for sure. If he can get the fight to the ground or if he can just land that one knockout punch, that can get it done. I think he has more power. He's probably got more ability on the ground as well. I just think Means will be good enough to keep it standing, and if he doesn't get knocked out, I think he picks Price apart for 3 rounds, maybe finishes him late. And he puts up enough strikes where he can actually pay off his price tag in a decision without the knockdown. He just puts up so many strikes where he can get it done. It's just you don't really want to rely on that. You do want the finish from him at that price. So it's not a fight I'm going to be all over, but I do like both sides a little bit. Price and GPPs for that knockout upside, grappling upside. And then Means is all right in all formats. I think he's got a solid floor because I don't think he's going to get knocked out, and I think he's got a solid ceiling as well. He's my pick. Probably gets it done by like 3rd round TKO.
Another heavyweight fight, we got Blagoy Ivanov taking on Ben Rothwell. And it's interesting because Blagoy Ivanov, he only scored 25 points over a 5-round duration in his UFC debut against Junior Dos Santos. So now my question is that an indicator of things to come, or do you think that was a one-time deal and maybe we can snag him here in a little sneaky favorite play?
I've never been impressed with him. I think you got to be worried about Rothwell coming off that 2-year layoff, PED suspension. He scored 39 in a loss to Dos Santos, so at least we got that on his side, and he's the cheaper fighter here. So I think if I'm picking a fighter in this fight for DraftKings, it's got to be Rothwell. I think he's very live for the upset, could get a knockout, could get a submission, and he could even win a decision. So he can get it done anyway. I just don't see how Blagoy scores highly without a finish. And Rothwell's hard to finish. So give me the dog here. I think it's a decent fight to target both sides, but I feel like it could be popular since they are heavyweights. So really, the fade might be the best way to go. Hopefully, they just have like a boring 3-round decision, and there goes half of the lineups because they're invested in one side or the other. So it's either a target both sides or fade for me.
Omari Akhmedov's taking on Tim Boetsch. Again, like we mentioned earlier, Tim Boetsch, he has the knack for that comeback. Omari Akhmedov is known for gassing out. Do you think history is going to repeat itself here?
No, I think I'm going to take Akhmedov here. I mean, he's the younger guy. You would think he would learn from the gassing out in the past, but I just think this is going to be a slow-paced fight where the only way it scores highly is if somebody does get knocked out. So if there's no knockout, neither one of these guys is going to pay off their salary. So it's a decent fight to fade, in my opinion. I really don't care for it too much, but they both have heavy power, so either guy could get knocked out. So it is a little bit risky, but my call is just to go ahead and fade this fight. I'll take Akhmedov by a boring decision.
So in the welterweight division, we got Anthony Rocco Martin taking on Serginho Moret, and it's funny because on DraftKings, it only has the first letter, the first initial of their first name. So it says A. Martin. You think some people are going to think it's Adriano Martins and they accidentally left off the S, or you think they're going to know because they're used to it saying T. Martin?
I mean, I'm cool with it. If we got that many fish in there, I'm good. I'm good with competing with them.
I know, right? But look, man, I mean, he's on a roll here. Anthony Rocco Martin's looking better than ever at 170, but Serginho Moret, 80% win rate in the UFC. Which way are you going?
I'm going to have to go with the favorite here. Give me Rocco. I just think he's going to be the better striker, and I think he's the better wrestler as well, so I think he'll be able to keep the fight standing. And if that's the case, I think he wins a decision. I just hate his price tag, $9,200. He's not going to pay that off with a decision win. That's for sure. He's going to need a finish. And even when he finished LaFleur 2 fights ago, he only scored 95. So if he goes out there, has an impressive performance like that and scores 95, he still probably won't end up on the optimal lineup at that $9,200 price tag. So my pick here for DraftKings has got to be Maurice. I mean, I think he is going to lose, but he's got the higher ceiling, especially for his price tag. At $7K, really any win from him would do. But if he can get the fight to the ground and get on top, he could lock up a submission. I just think he's going to have to do it from the top. I don't see him getting a submission from the bottom if Martin goes for takedowns. So for me, man, it's another fight to fade, or it's a dog or pass. But I do think Martin gets it done by decision.
So the ladies are fighting Yana Kunitskaya versus Marion Reneau, and normally I'd pass on a fight like this, but the reason I want the Kyle Marley perspective is because oftentimes when Marion Reneau loses fights, she does get wrestled. We know wrestling and takedowns score big points in DraftKings. Do you think a 3-round win by Yana Kunitskaya will surpass that $8,900 salary?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. Reneau doesn't have the greatest of takedowns defense, and Kunitskaya got 5 takedowns in her last fight. She only had 2 advances, so she ended up with 97 fantasy points. But, I mean, I'll take that at 8,900. If she goes out there and gets 97 and Rocco Martin goes out there and gets that 95 that we were just talking about, Kunitskaya is going to knock him off that winning lineup. So I'm definitely interested in her for that reason. She's my pick to win. I think it is going to be from takedowns. I just don't see her getting a finish here. So I don't know how super high her ceiling is. I don't think she has any like 120-point upside. So I'm not sure if she ends up on the optimal lineup or not. I think Renault's a decent cash game play, maybe just a 3-round punt that you take 20 to 30 in a loss from. I'd be okay with that as long as we can rack up our 4 wins elsewhere. But pick here's Kunitskaya by decision.
Louis Smolka is taking on Matt Schnell. I've heard this fight is at bantamweight. So man, both these guys, it seems like they're finally coming into their own after they both had their respective ups and downs. So who do you think continues the win streak?
I'm going to go with Smolka here. I think it's going to be a super fun fight. Smolka fights tend to score highly, a lot of grappling points, but I think he's going to be the one wanting to grapple. So I like him to get the job done. Either guy could pull off a submission. If that's the case, maybe they can end up on the optimal lineup at that mid-range price tag. But I think Schnell's going to need to stand to get the win, and I would rather go ahead and take the grappler and Smolka. If he can get the fight to the ground, then he's going to rack up a lot of advanced points, and he does have that 120 point upside, even with a decision win, just because of all those points he can rack up on the ground. So give me Smolka here. I like him a good bit at that price, but I'll take a couple Schnell shots as well in case he can go out there and get a finish with a submission like a guillotine in the first round or something.
And last but not least, Alex White is taking on Dan Moret. Kyle, you willing to give Alex White one last chance, or are you done with him?
I'm probably not done with him, but I would say my pick would be Moret here for DraftKings. I am picking White to get the job done. I think he's probably going to get a decision. He should be able to box him up on the feet. His wrestling should be good enough to keep it on the feet. But if Moret can get the fight to the ground, he could lock up a submission himself or even win a decision with his top control. And if he can do that at 7,600, there's a good chance he can end up on the optimal lineup. So I think it's just going to be easier for him to pay off his salary in a win than it will be for White. So even though I'm picking White, my preferred play here will be Moret.
And that's why you are the DraftKings guy for Half the Battle. Well, Kyle, it's going down this Saturday in Wichita. It's on It's on ESPN Plus. Derrick Lewis versus JDS. And they can get your bets at bestfightpicks.com and your write-ups as well. And they can follow you at Big Marley 3.
That's right. Hop on this money train. We're about to get it done again.
Yes, sir, Kyle. We'll speak soon, my man.
All right, good luck. Let's get it.
Let's get it. And that's why Kyle Marley is the DraftKings guy for Half the Battle. Well, Shaq, it's going down this Saturday, and now we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So what is the fight to watch for UFC Wichita?
My fight to watch is going to be Elizeu Zaleski Capoeira dos Santos versus Curtis Millender. The winner is going to position themselves for a big fight in the top 10. Both guys have definitely earned their spots considering their resumes, and I feel like someone is going to be most likely fight of the night. It's Elizeu.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw a boring Zaleski fight because I never have in my life ever. I don't believe it'll start this weekend.
and you mix that in with the fact that he's fighting Curtis Millender, who also has never had a boring fight, this will be epic violence. And for me, my fight to watch is Tim Means versus Niko Price, because similar to the co-main event, this will also be violent. There's not going to be someone in here humping legs, trying to, get a meeting at Planned Parenthood, any bullshit like that. I think that someone's taking a canvas nap, and for that reason, that is my fight to watch. Well, Shaq, who is your fighter to watch for UFC Wichita?
My fighter to watch is going to be Rocco Martin, man. I think the way this guy's improving, I definitely think he could be a player at 170 just due to his well-rounded skills. And he's fighting an 8-2 guy in the UFC. This will be a big win on his resume to have wins over Nakamura, LaFleur, Matthews, and then you add a Serginho. It's definitely warranted for a top 15 fight afterwards.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the kind of waves Anthony Rocco Martin's been making, let's see if he can take it to that next level. For me, my fighter to watch is Elizeu dos Santos Capoeira. I mean, this is a guy that's been habitually disrespected. They bury him on the prelims. They're paying him very shit money. And now, finally, after 6 straight wins of devastating finishes, of total excitement, of fight of the night wars, now they're giving him a co-main event. Now the fans get to see what we've been talking about for such a long time, why this is one of the most exciting fighters in the 170-pound division. And he's got a willing dance partner in Curtis Millender. So for that reason, Elizeu dos Santos Capoeira is my fighter to watch. Well, Shaq, is going down this Saturday. UFC Wichita, UFC on ESPN +4, Lewis versus Dos Santos. They can follow you at MMA Genius 05. They can follow me at Best Fight Picks. Our bets, our plays are available at bestfightpicks.com. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Hook up those 5-star reviews on iTunes. Thank you so much to everyone that supports us. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.